Play, talk, listen. Yo, it's the Big Mahomes Show. Come on, homie, get with it. Play, talk, listen, you love it, so go repeat it. Ain't no opposition, the catalog undefeated. You listen to something different, I guarantee you deleted all facts. You wanna spell the name, gotta be all caps. You're looking for the best action, we all that. It's major ballin', we got it poppin', it's never stopping. The hottest topics, you know we all that. This is not up for debating, cause 505 bit rating. We taking up to the apex, listening to the greatest. Brandon hotter than haters, for the brothers and ladies. It's the Big Mahomes Show. Sit back, play, talk, listen.
It's the Big Mahomes Show.
Yo, 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 yo. Hey, welcome everyone back to the Big Mahomes Show. I'm your host, Pat Mahomes. I've been on a little hiatus. It's been a busy time for me. Fall ball with my select teams. Football season has started. Both my boys out there doing their thing. Of course, Big Pat, Lil Pat. He started his football season and had a birthday September 17th. We celebrated that. My other son, Graham, is at Brown University doing his thing. He was All-American last year. He's doing his thing with wide receiver, 2 tutties the first game, doing his thing. But I feel like I'm back. I got some time. I want to talk to y'all people. And today I feel like we have a great show for y'all. I will be joined by my man Darren Smith. You can up on the ship. He's always there. He's my go-to for all sports. D, what's going on, man?
And look, first of all, I've been wanting to say this for like the last 2 minutes, bro. Next to my intro for my show, I'm telling you, I love your intro, man. It got me how I'm sitting there bobbing and stuff. Whoever did your intro did a great job. I just got to make sure I say that. But other than that, man, all is well, man. Just get ready to hit the road. Got Indianapolis this weekend, and of course, we'll be joining one another down in Tampa Bay next weekend. So, just when it's football season, it's all hands on deck when it comes to covering the Chiefs and your son.
Well, I mean, I got a personal question myself. We're gonna get this thing started with the NFL. You
Yes,
talking about
sir.
Indianapolis, you talking about Tampa, but I follow you. I follow you on social media.
Uh-oh.
I see your little suits you be wearing, all clean and tight. But
Here we go.
when you said you had a little competition going on with my son about who was going to be the most well-dressed on these NFL Sundays, Thursday, or whatever have not, or whatever day of the week it is. So through 2 weeks, I'm just trying to find out because I haven't found anywhere where I can go check it out and see who's winning. But, who's winning?
Okay, well, I'm going to be straight up with you. Patrick, according to the people, got me week 1.
Okay.
And the difference was the vest. My vest wasn't ready for my suit when I flew out to Phoenix. So I was clean. I was clean, Patrick.
Well, I saw you.
Oh yeah,
I
yeah,
saw you.
Patrick told me, but people were kind of, oh, I love his teal. I'm like, really? I'm like, oh, I said, okay, I let the teal go, but he had the vest. I said, hey, that's cool, but Pat, trust me, I got some for him right over here for Sunday, but trust me, I really got him when it comes to Tampa Bay. So I can't see that. Now I would show you, I would tell you, but then there'd be like some insider information, so I can't do that. Yeah, I mean we cool it all, but that's still your son, so I can't give you any tips. You know what I'm saying? To be like, yo, I saw D's suit, he coming clean, but he got that, and the thing is, he only wants to do it for the road games because he plans on being suited. Home games, he told me he wants to just dress casual, come down, So yeah, so we just have it just for the road. So basically, I wear a new suit every game regardless, and so he does. I think he wears a suit for the road game. So we'll our next one up will be this Sunday afternoon.
Well, I mean, since we ain't giving insider tips, I do know the suit man was in town last week. And he actually made me a suit that
Okay.
I got to wear to my uncle's. He got inducted into the distinguished alumni thing there at Texas A&M, which was
Oh,
a
that's what's up.
huge honor. 318 people have been inducted into it. Out of all the students that they have, and that was a big deal. So I had to get clean myself. I even
Okay.
got a little haircut and all that, cut it back down.
Yeah, I'm getting all this done
It
Friday.
felt like back in 91, 92 when I first went to the big leagues. It was so good. Trisha was thinking about getting freaky, but that's a whole nother situation. But anyway, let's get into this NFL thing. A lot of teams doing some good things. The Eagles 2-0, the Bucks 2-0,
Yeah.
the Giants, doing their thing. But I really want to get into which we all know are the two teams that's tearing it up and making everything happen, which is the Buffalo Bills, who have looked outstanding, dominating, look like they on a mission to do something, since that loss that they took to the Chiefs in that epic game, which was one of the best games we ever seen.
Yeah.
And of course, my KC Chiefs, who are doing it a different way, but getting it done regardless. So I know you've had eyes on both of them. You've been watching the games. You're watching what's going on. What have you kind of analyzed watching those two teams, and where are we at with those two teams right now?
Well, I'm hoping that they both are undefeated when they play when Kansas City hosts Buffalo Week 6. Obviously, they have some challenges along the way. We'll talk about the games this weekend. Of course, the Bills they do face the Dolphins this weekend. The Dolphins are one of the surprising teams, along with to me the New York Football Giants. Kansas City, from what, and I tell people it's I'm a little biased because I do cover them, so I do get a chance to see them every day. For me, I expected this because of what I've seen in practice, what I know about your son, bringing the wide receivers and the backs down to Texas, working out with them and stuff like that, trying to gain that rapport and that familiarity with them, and it paid off in Arizona. I think I think, of course, it being a division game against the Chargers and the fact that, they've improved as it relates to their defense being enjoyed both over alongside, even though he didn't play, I think J.C. Jackson played in the game but didn't play well. Kansas City struggled, but again, your son in the month of November, he's pretty much, I think he may have only one interception over his 4 years of, well, now 5 years in starting as the starting quarterback in the month of September. So he's pretty dominant when it comes to the opening month of the season, and thus far he hasn't disappointed. Nor have I seen anything that would make me sway in any opposite direction.
Well, I agree. I've always said, I wasn't worried. I mean, a lot of people were talking about, Tyreek leaving and this and that,
Yeah.
and I wasn't worried about that because I've seen my son, play in high school. I've seen him play at Texas Tech.
But a lot less talented than what he's got now.
Exactly, a lot less, and you didn't know any of the guys, but by the end of the game that night, if they were getting open, you knew who they were. You knew who they were. So I know he's going to throw the ball who's open. It reminds me of a conversation that I had with Patrick after his first game when he was named the starter when he was pitching, not the Denver game. The game in LA against the Chargers. It was against the Chargers. His first game, he threw 4 touchdowns that game. I think he threw for like 350 yards or whatever. And I remember Travis Kelce coming out of the locker room after the game. And I was sitting down in the family section down there waiting for him to come out. And Kelce had his head down a little bit. And I looked at him. I said, "Hey, man." I said, "Come here, man. Come here. Let me holler at you." And he walked over and he said, "What's up, Pops?" That's what he always did. "What's up, Pops?" I said, "Well, I said, it seems like you're a little down." I said, "Let me tell you a little something about my son." I said, "He's going to throw the ball to whoever's open." I said, "You got double teamed the whole game. Tyreek was open, so he threw the ball to Tyreek." I said, "But don't give up." I said, you get yourself open, you're gonna get the ball. Next game they play Pittsburgh, he threw 6 touchdowns.
Six
I think he
touchdowns.
threw
Yep.
3 of them to Kelsey or whatever. He come up to me after the game, he's like, "You're right, Pops." I'm like, so that part of it, I wasn't worried about. I knew whatever number or whatever's on your back, that doesn't matter. If you get open, you're gonna throw the ball. Just like throwing that touchdown to the Watson.
Watson.
Yeah, and all that. None of that surprised me. If he sees you and he's in duress or he's doing something, he sees you open, he's going to get you the football. And so I wasn't worried about that. Now I have been impressed by what Buffalo's doing. I mean, they're steamrolling teams. I mean, hell, at the end of the third quarter, they could have went home and ate a sandwich or did whatever, you know. But like you said, we got them. Well, I think week 6.
Week 6, right after the Monday night game.
Got them. Hopefully, things go well. We can both be 5-0 and you know and play. And of course, they beat us last year in the
regular season.
And then we had the epic game in the other season. But it's funny to me that all the people that do what we do, and then all the debate shows and all that, now they're here and we're here, and I don't get that at all, but I can kind of understand what they're saying. Von Miller, yeah, they added Von Miller, and he's going to help them all that. But last I checked, Von Miller was playing in Denver all those years against Patrick, and I don't think they've won a game, you know, since he was playing with them. I know Patrick hasn't lost a game to Denver, even his game that
No, they haven't lost.
No, they haven't lost. So I don't know why that's such a big game changer and all that. Yes, he's a great player, and I get all that. But I still think that, you know, we run the division and that those two teams are going to collide. But after the first couple of weeks of play, any surprises for you? Any disappointments? I mean, what are you seeing?
Well, I'll be honest. Again, the Miami Dolphins surprised me just because of the way that they came back and beat Baltimore in Baltimore in week number 2. I'm a little disappointed, I guess you could say, when it comes to, I guess, the Indianapolis Colts. I actually thought they would be better than what they were. I didn't expect a tie against the Houston Texans in week number 1. So, you know, I mean, that kind of shocked me. Cincinnati, I'm actually shocked that they're 0-2. I don't want to say they had like a Super Bowl hangover or anything like that. I just thought that they should have won the game against. Well, they never should have been trailing against the Dallas Cowboys. And then the Raiders, I'm actually shocked that they lost in the manner in which they did to Arizona last week. So, I mean, those are to me the biggest surprises. And of course, as I mentioned before, the New York Football Giants. For them to start off 2-0, that's good for them. Good for Saquon Barkley, you know, and the way he started out the first game of the year. And so that to me is like the biggest, I guess, surprises, so to speak. Now, I will say this, going back to what you were saying about your son, and the story that you told about Travis Kelce. I actually asked him something similar to that, Pat, at his press conference on Wednesday, and it was about because you know, even though MVS and Juju are the starting wide receivers, like in the last game, the Thursday night game, they only had 5 total catches amongst themselves, and so for me, when I was in the locker room, I was kind of looking at them, and you know, just looking at their body language, and kind of like how you spoke to Kelsey. Now, I didn't have that conversation with him, but I did get a quick question in to MVS, and so my question to Patrick this week was, knowing that they're your quote unquote starters, how do you keep them engaged throughout the game, especially if they only have 5 total targets versus, you know, I mean, when you see what Cooper Kupp and Devontae Adams and Stephon Diggs, you know, because, you know, if their number may be called, but of course they're double. That's one thing. But if you only throw them to them 5 times, or they have 5 total catches, and you got 60, 70 plays, I mean, you know, you got to continue to keep them engaged. And he did give me an answer. I don't want to go into it now, but he did give me an answer. But it does kind of harken back to what you said as it relates to when you spoke to Kelsey, like, hey, You're gonna get open. Your time's gonna come, and that's pretty much what he said. Is that look, everybody knows that their moment will come, and that he's gonna get them the ball. It's just that if they're covered, it's not much he can do, and he's not gonna try to force stuff in there because he is trying to be mindful, knowing that you don't have a Tyreek where you don't always have to go for the big play. That he knows that he's got receivers that can continue to extend the chains down the field, and so he doesn't have to always go for the home run ball.
Oh well, I mean that's definitely what he does, and I noticed that too. I actually thought the game plan was a little lackadaisical this time. I think we played a
Yeah,
little too safe, and I was wondering when they were going to let him, try to do some things. I know he had a hell of a pass rush coming at Khalil Mack.
I didn't like that opening drive. I will tell you that because that
Yeah,
opening drive when it was before they punted, it was at third down, and unless I'm mistaken, because I know you were there as well, that third down play looked exactly like the play in the AFC Championship game that he threw to Tyreek Hill where it went lateral instead of trying to get a first down. I was like, why would you do that? You have momentum, kind of running the ball again, and then you do this, and now you got to punt. So,
exactly. Because I love the fullback. That fullback beside me every time
oh
it's
yeah, Michael
fourth
Burton.
and one, third and one, third. They handing the ball, he going forward. He don't never go backwards. So you know all that kind of played into. I talked to Patrick after the game about it, and they got it straight, and they won the game, which is the most important thing.
Correct.
Um, as far as my disappointments this year, um, been really kind of Cincinnati, kind of messed me up a little bit. I actually thought my boy Baker was going to do some thing in Carolina. I know he got
Nope.
him in position, both times to win the game, and they haven't won it. But I kind of felt like he was going to be on a mission this year because that's kind of who he is and whatever. And as far as my surprises, the Eagles, man. I mean,
Yeah, Eagles
I
are
knew
good.
he had a good team, but Jalen Hurts has done some things. And Miami, I mean, to be honest with you, I mean, Tua, he's stepping up big right now and doing his thing. They got a good team. They got a good group of wide receivers. They got a good offense, and they're doing their thing. So, you know, that surprised me a little bit. Other than that, everything else has been kind of how I expected. I figured Green Bay would struggle a little bit at the beginning. Tampa Bay, I didn't know what was going on over there, but I think we got a lot of good football left to go.
Oh
But
yeah.
that being said, we're gonna take a quick break. We're gonna come back. We're gonna talk some baseball news, baseball standings, baseball, whatever's going on with baseball. We're gonna talk about it. I'm with my man Darren Smith here on the Big Mahomes Show, and we will be back shortly. Hey, we back here on the Big Mahomes Show. Thank y'all for tuning in. I'm with my man Darren Smith. We're gonna change the topic. We're gonna go to baseball a little bit. The races are tightening. We got the Mets and the Braves, right there battling right now. Who you got, D? Who you got? You got the Mets, you got the Braves. I mean, I'm a little biased. I'm a
I know
Mets.
you're biased. I mean, I know. Look, you're a New York kind of guy, so it's kind of hard. But I tell you, man, the Dodgers are looking good. I mean, but it's funny between the Dodgers and the Mets, and when the Mets played the Subway Series against the Yankees, I was shocked in the manner in which they kind of dominated that series against them. There's a lot of good teams. The Cleveland is kind of coming on towards the very end, but. If I had to pick a matchup right now, I'd probably go Dodgers and the Astros right now. It's just one of those things. Those teams are playing hot. The Braves, look, they're not. They're just with like maybe 3-4 games out of first place with the Mets. So I can't. So I think they'll be one of the wild card. Well, they'll obviously be one of the wild card teams when it's all said and done. But I'm very much interested to see how it all shakes out. To see how how the matchups turn out. But hopefully we get like Dodgers and the Mets in the NLCS, and perhaps the Yankees and the Astros. But I don't know. Maybe you want to see a Subway Series or cross country with LA and New York. In the World Series. I know Major League Baseball would love to see that.
Well, I don't. I hate the Yankees. I'm gonna put it
I
out
know
there.
you do.
I hate the Yankees. They tried to trade for me. I didn't even. I told them I wouldn't even go there. I don't know
What?
what I retired for. I went there. I hate the Yankees that much, and I hate the Braves damn near as much as I hate the Yankees. But anyway,
Oh man.
I want my Mets there. I was fortunate enough to go back last month, go play in the old timers game, and chop it up with all the old players I played with when we played the Yankees in that 2000 Subway Series and everything. But the Astros, I grew up an Astros fan. I can't lie about that. And they're doing their thing. They're doing their thing. The Dodgers, I played for them, so I got a little love for them too. But they seem like to be the stronghold and all that. Uh, I'm thinking about going tomorrow to the game tomorrow and watch the Rangers play the Guardians. I haven't been in the new stadium yet, and I actually have a baseball tournament this weekend up there in the area. So I was thinking about maybe going to check them out tomorrow night, spend a night because we play early Saturday up there in in the Fort Worth area. So. Um, I'll check the Guardians. I'll see what they all about. I've been watching them a little bit, but if I had a preference, like you said, the Mets, against the Dodgers in the championship series, and maybe like you said, the Yankees and the Astros, that seem like good baseball. I,
Yeah.
I haven't really looked at it like I used to look at it. It's such a different game to me now, than what I played. I mean, I get it, but I don't get it. So it's kind of hard for me to watch and watch the game because I don't understand certain things when you ship a whole defense over there. I know they're changing the rules next year and they're going to do stuff different, but guys when I played they were pure hitters. And they hit the ball where it was pitched at. If the ball was pitched outside, they hit it that way. If it was hit that, if they did it the way they do it now, I think I'd have played another 10 more years because I'd have got a lot of guys out, if you couldn't make an adjustment. But we're watching Aaron Judge and all the hoopla. He's got 60 home runs right now. Uh, got a chance to be the American League home run lead champion of all time. 61, of course, is Roger Maris, and he needs two more to break that. Um, that record is very impressive. What he's done so far. How many you think he's going to get this year?
See, I'm trying to think how many games they got left. Depending on how many games they got left, I think he can get at least 64, maybe.
Mm.
Yeah, I'd say 64. Again, I know they're playing currently, and so he's got a chance to tie it and make. Well, look, he's had multiple games with the multiple home runs. So it wouldn't surprise me if he tied and broke it in the same game. But I would say 64. I think 64 is safe.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's a good. I mean, what they got down? What 8, 9 games left?
Yeah.
So that's a good number. But people talk about it. Well, will he be the new home run champ and all that? Hey, I don't know about that. But 60 some home runs in any year is very impressive.
Oh yeah.
Do I believe he's the MVP? I don't know. That old Tony guy, he does a lot of things on, both ends, hitting all the home runs he does, batting average, and then pitching and doing the stuff that he does. So I don't know how you determine that. I would say I would give Judge the edge because they're a first place team, and of course the Angels never compete.
And it's the Yankees. I mean, look,
Yeah,
he's
and
got
it's
the
the
he's got the
Yankees. He's on the
media and the
biggest
storyline.
stage. I mean, uh, being that I played in that venue, played in that arena,
Market.
that
Yeah.
city, and that market, and having the 60, 70 reporters on you at every game. I mean, It's nothing like being in Kansas City and having, 8, 10 reporters that are asking you questions. Well,
Hey, that was some shade.
you got 60 some guys, asking you questions, hoping you make one excuse so they can blow you up on the back page.
Yeah.
That's kind of a
Animal.
whole different, ill right there, because I knew one thing. I knew it didn't matter if I had been out the night before, had some cocktails or whatever, and been out, had dinner, and stayed out a little too late. But when they called my name and I knew I had to go through that gate, I knew what time it was, because I knew if I went out there and I didn't perform, I knew I was gonna hear it, booze, blah 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 blah. And you hear people, well, they're turning their back. No, that ain't how it is. You getting paid to do a job. If you don't perform, they gonna let you know you didn't perform. Ain't no encore.
Facts.
And they gotta call you back out for an encore. They're letting you know, hey, you stunk tonight, and we gonna ask you after the game why you stunk. And then if you make some bogus remark or something, then they're gonna let you hear about it. So that's why I always kept it one eye. I say, hey, he got me tonight. Hopefully I'll get a chance to face him tomorrow, and the result will be different. But you know, this baseball thing, I mean, it's getting tight now. It's a great time of the year. This is the time when I do start watching, and I start watching intensely because I want to see who's gonna perform, who really has it, and what they're gonna do.
I got a question for you though. Look, when we look at this and we see, the media hype and the narrative about Judge going after this AL home run record, how would you compare it to the summer of '98 when Sammy Sosa and Mark McGuire were chasing, the 61, chasing, I believe it was Roger Maris who had the record, or Babe Ruth, one of those two had the record, and then of course Mark McGuire broke it, and then Sammy also passed it, and they ended up at 66 and 70. And then a couple of years later, we saw Barry Bonds break the 70 and end up with 73, and then of course his pursuit of Hank Aaron's overall record. How do you think that that worked out
Well,
or compared?
that was a crazy time. We had come off strike. Baseball was struggling.
Hmm.
Um, Hard to get people in the stands. You know, and for them to do what they did at that time was very very gratifying. Because um, we were coming back, and you had the cloud, and you had all the stuff that was going on, but McGuire and Sosa that summer made baseball fun for everyone. I mean, they made it fun for everyone. I'm not a big fan of Sammy. I played with him with the Cubs. I played against him for many years when I was in the American League, when he came up through the White Sox and all that. But McGuire, I've always uh, been a big fan of his. Actually, when Patrick started playing baseball, I had to get in. I had to move him to first base because he threw so hard nobody could catch it, and they wanted him to throw halfway. They wanted him to throw halfway and let it roll, and I wouldn't let him do it. I said, just put him at first base. We're not going to teach him how to throw bad, and
Right.
all that stuff. And he was in love with first basemen, and the first autograph he wanted to get was Mark McGuire. So to see him, do what he did that year, plus Sammy do what they did that year, it was a great time, man. It was very exciting. I mean, you went to the ballpark, every day, and then after the game, you were looking in the papers, looking on ESPN, trying to see if they hit one.
Yep.
And
Yep.
then when you were facing them, you were trying to make sure they didn't hit one. So it was kind of, both ends of the spectrum. So, but yeah, that was good for baseball.
Yeah, that was my sophomore year, I believe, a sophomore junior year in college, and that made me come because I used to love watching baseball, but when they had that strike in '94, it was like, it was like, okay, you're going to strike over whatever the reasons were way back then. So it was like, okay, so that gave me more time to watch wrestling, more time to watch NBA. So it was like, well, I don't need baseball because, like, literally when I was in high school. Um, my days were divvied up on what I watched on television. Monday night was wrestling. Tuesday night was the NBA or Chicago Bulls. Wednesday night was baseball. Thursday night Bulls, TNT, whatever. Friday, and so it divided up into sports or whatever. And when it went to baseball, I was like, well, hell, I mean, if I don't care, and they took a strike for so long, where they had the World Series canceled. It was like, man, I'm good.
Well, I mean, you're looking at the maddest man in the world when they went on strike. That was my arbitration year, and I was putting in some work. Finally starting to see some fruits of my labor, and had a 3-year deal on the table. I hadn't signed yet, and then once we went on strike, it wasn't on the table no more. So,
That's right.
my pockets ain't been the same since. My pocket was getting ready to get the mumps. They gonna be full. But it ended up working. It ended up working out bad. But hey, we're gonna take a short break. We're gonna come back one last time with the Big Mahomes moment. Finish this thing off. Thank y'all for tuning in. I'm with my man D. Smith. We'll be back shortly to finish this all up. No. Hey, we're back here now here on the Big Mahomes Show. I'm your host, Pat Mahomes. Hey, I've been away for a while, but I've been having fun tonight. I'm with my man, D. Smith. We've been doing this thing. I enjoy being here talking to y'all, and that's what I do. But now we're at the point what I call the Big Mahomes moment. It's when I talk about stuff that's near and dear to me, to my heart, that, I want to share with all of y'all. Now, my Big Mahomes moment, Darren kind of talked about it a little bit early when he asked the question about McGuire, Sosa, and Barry Bonds, and when they were pursuing this home run record the Judge is doing. Hey, records are made to be broken. Lot of controversy over this record. My feeling is I played in the era when they had the steroids or whatever you wanted to you call it. Even though I hated the guy Barry Bonds, and he may have, we all have our opinions. We all know what went on and stuff in that area. Barry Bonds was the best baseball player that I have ever seen. Ken Griffey was right there, but Barry was the best hitter by far. Ken Griffey, I would say, was probably the best overall baseball player. A lot of people say Willie Mays, Hank Aaron's up there high on that thing. But Barry Bonds was the best hitter that I ever seen. You think about it, that guy hit 73 home runs that year, and he got walked over 150 times intentionally and over 200 times all total. So that's another 200 at bats. If the managers and the pitchers would have had the guts to pitch to him, that guy would have hit 100 home runs that year. Lots of times he would get one pitch to hit, and he would hit it over the fence. So Barry Lamar Bonds was a bad boy. I didn't like the guy per se. He never hit me over the fence, but he's the all-time home run leader. Steroids are not. That guy was a bad guy. He's a Hall of Famer before he did steroids, if he did them, and he was a Hall of Famer after he did it. And it's a shame that he's not in the Hall of Fame. That's all I got for you today. I just want to say peace, hair grease, and once again, thank you for tuning in to the Big Mahomes Show. And my boy D, hey, man, you did your thing again as usual. You got anything you want to say to the folks before we leave?
No, not really, man. Just thank you as always, and tell your son I'm coming for him in Indianapolis this weekend, and I got something for him in Tampa Bay, baby.
I would definitely let him know. Thank y'all for tuning in, and we'll see you next time.